My name's Angie. I am the customer service manager for YoraHome, and welcome to Creators Night for December. Tonight we are going to showcase our new 6040 CO2 laser. We're going to be doing a project, Christmas gnome countdown project. And showing you some of the features of the CO2 laser. Sorry we are running just a little bit late. We had some technical difficulties, but in just a minute I'm going to be turning it over to Jim, who is on the way down to the CO2 right now, so he can show you some features of the laser. We're going to be doing things a little bit differently than we usually do tonight, because as we found in previous episodes, I'm sure you've had issues with sound and being able to hear us. Well, we found that that is incredibly hard to actually do the project live with the machines running and you being able to hear us over this course of the machine. So we're going to show you the machines. I'm going to show you how to do the Christmas countdown project, and then we will show you the finished project, and then in the comments to the chat I will show you the video of the project actually running after we're all done, because like I said, you're not going to be able to hear me talk while and actually while the machine's running. It's too loud for us to have a live. But I'm going to turn it over to Jim, and he's going to show us the machine. And then I'll come back and we're gonna walk through how to do the project. It is using Lightburn, so this is going to highlight some of the aspects of Lightburn, how to do layers and how to do cuts, things like that. And so for those of you who have not tried Lightburn out, you'll get a little mini tutorial for that. So I'm going to turn it over to Jim. And so he can show you the machine. Take it away, Jim.
So we're down here in the showroom, and here we have our new CS6040 CO2 laser engraver. This is the one that has just now hit the market. We've sent a few of them out so far. So you can see we've now got it in our nice color scheme of green and white. Have our branding appropriately with it. Some key features on this machine. We've added some great features that a lot of people were asking for on the older machines that were not present. They've been added to this. So let me get things turned on here so we can see what's going on. You'll have to excuse the noise momentarily while it powers up. So first thing we have, you see a nice huge 60 by 40 centimeter workspace. LED lighting all the way around so you can really see what's going on with the machine. You can see through the fireproof window while it's in operation. One thing that we are going to be including with these is a tinted acrylic fixture for that window as well. Your workspace bed, we've got this honeycomb bed. Some of you may have seen Tony's video about this honeycomb option available for the 6550. This is also present here, and might be hard to see, but you can see underneath it. If you were to remove this honeycomb assembly, you just have a knife edge for larger pieces. If you're not worried about the small bits dropping out or anything like that, you can use that knife edge to give you a little bit more of a solid surface. One of the key items we've put in, we've got hybrid servo motors now instead of just stepper motors. This is the one that drives your Y-axis. We have another servo motor over here on the other side. That's driving your X-axis. You can see that all of our cabling is now routed through cable tray and drag chain. Keep things out of the way. Got a Rurita controller. You have all of your interaction right here. I apologize, the glare might make it kind of hard to see, but you have full control over all axes. You can move your X and Y as you see fit. We also have a motorized Z-axis, so you can raise and lower your bed to accommodate larger items. I know we've had a box in here that we were engraving the front of like a sewing box that was probably 8 to 10 inches tall. So you've got plenty of clearance right there. We've also added reference measurements all the way around the workspace so you can see where your positioning is. Helps with getting everything put into the right spot. You've got indicator lights, red light telling us that we're on and ready to go. When the unit is in operation and burning a project, your green light is on. You have an alarm, your yellow light comes on, and also displays here on the screen. As far as other features, we've got the BL Touch for focusing. Some of you have probably seen in Lightburn, you've got the ability to focus your Z. What that will do is bring the bed up until the workpiece makes contact, and then drop it down to the appropriate location for your project. Other doors on the side here, so you can access your mirrors for cleaning. That's something that needs to be done on CO2s quite often. You can see you've got a nice clear work area in here. Heavy duty timing belts for everything. Underneath, we have our laser power supply. You can see the huge exhaust duct that comes through there to pull all the smoke and everything out of the machine. Our older machines use a small muffin style fan, not very effective at smoke removal. This one's far superior. You can see the belt drive assemblies here for the Z-axis, dual motors on that. Coming around to the back here, where we've got our laser tube. Standard CO2 tube, water cooled. These are a Yongli with red dot. What this fixture right here does is instead of having a laser pointer that's aimed kind of at where your work's going to be, this red laser pointer is actually integrated into the tube, so when it fires, it knows exactly where you're supposed to be at. Helps with mirror aiming as well. But the way that feature works, you've got your workpiece under here, right on the side of the machine, got your power button for it. Turn on your red dot. You now have a red dot that's telling you exactly where you're at. You don't have to fire the laser at low power. You can use that for framing your project, whatever the case may be. Additionally, take a look at the controller here. We've got our Rurita controller. We've got the drivers for our hybrid servo motors, all of our power supplies for the laser tube, and the rest of the mechanicals. One feature that we have not really tested out yet, but I noticed was part of this, a Wi-Fi interface. That's something that we're going to be working on here in the very near future to see what all that requires for configuration. The unit also comes with an air assist pump, just a small air pump. That's all it really needs. Don't need to have a huge pump, just enough to move air. That allows you to keep your laser cut kerf clean. I mentioned before the large exhaust blower. That's this unit right here. That's why we're doing this with the unit offline, because I'll be honest, that thing's a little loud. But you've got a 6-inch ductwork Ours is routed outside the wall of the building so that we take all of our smoke and everything right out. Earlier machines, you had to have a water reservoir, and it relied on the bulk of that water to keep the unit cool. Now, we're using an industrial chiller. This is the CW5000 model. This is a small refrigeration unit. Holds a whopping 2 gallons of water for this entire circuit. Keeps the laser tube cooled, probably far superior to the typical water reservoir type. For those that may have had other CO2 lasers, you'd know that as you were cutting items, small little bits and pieces would fall down in. You end up with a mess underneath the bed, inside the housing of the machine. Well, what we had them add, got just a little catch tray here. Everything that falls out drops into the tray. Less mess to clean up. Simply take that out and dump it into the trash. Safety switches throughout. Keep you from doing any harm, so to speak. You have pass-through panels here on the front and rear of the machine, so if you wanted to run a longer item through, you can do so. We hoped to have a video available later on. However, we're having some technical difficulties there. If I can get that video, we will post that. One thing to keep in mind with that video is the video was filmed with safety interlocks overridden. We do not recommend doing that when you are using your machine, obviously. As far as setup and connection, these units come via truck freight. We arrange for liftgate delivery at your location. There's very, very minimal assembly required. You've got to bolt the wheels onto the housing. You've got to install the laser tube because it is shipped in a separate box for protection. Hook up your exhaust duct. Hook up your chiller. It took me less than 5 minutes to have the computer configured and finding this machine with light burn and ready to start burning. Probably the biggest challenge you'll face, and Angie's going to be talking about this, is figuring out the settings that work right for your job. Because the first job I did was probably a little bit aggressive. Let me walk over here and grab that real quick. I did just a quick job right after we got this machine. I loaded a picture I found on the internet of just a tiger. Stuck a piece of pine board in this machine, and this is the result that I got. If you look closely at this, you can see that that laser burned that design almost 3 millimeters deep into this board. And it did this entire photo in about 11 minutes. So it is a much, much more powerful machine than anything we've had on the market previously. Far, far superior speed. And we're really hoping that all of you that decide that you want to purchase one of these really enjoy the machine. As of right now, we've got the 6040 and the 9060, which is the 100-watt machine. Obviously, the 9060 has a 90 by 60 centimeter work area. For those that are here in the U.S., we do have both of these machines in stock. I believe we've got 200-watt 9060 machines, and I think 5 or 6 of the 6040 machines ready to go. I just sent 2 of the 100 watts out to brand new customers this week, so they will hopefully be getting them soon. I'll hand everything back over to Angie now, because that covers the highlights of our machine. If you have any other questions, please let us know in the discussion, and I'll try and answer those as best I can. Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you liked that tour of the 6040. It's probably by far my favorite of the new machines, other than the Silverback. You notice I am sporting our a monkey shirt because that's our mascot. So I had to wear a Silverback gorilla for tonight's video. But on to our project. So I'm going to bring up Lightburn. and show you how I prep the project that we're going to be working on tonight. We're doing a Christmas countdown project. Give me just a second to get that file loaded. I apologize, but I wanted to walk through the whole process of how I choose a file and how I set it up. So if you can, whoops. So when you bring a file into Lightburn, come on. I don't know why it's not playing fair. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, so this is the Christmas countdown file that we're choosing to work with, and it's all prepped and ready. Now I want to point out a couple different things. I want to show you exactly how we go about laying out a project. So this is the completed, ready to go version of the file. But I'm gonna actually show you the whole process on how it gets to this point, because as you can see, there's layers. If you've never worked with Lightburn, you have the capability of setting up jobs or pieces that get you different settings for the different layers. So how do we go about doing that? So rather than getting to this point, we're going to start a new job, and I'm going to bring up the file and actually walk through how exactly I set it up. So first, I have the job in pieces, so I have a SVG loaded into the system. So I have my Christmas bulb, and I have my words, and so so you have your bulb, and as you can see, you can maneuver each object to where and get it everything how you want it to look, and you can move it so you can have everything sized how you think that the project's gonna look. Well, I can see that these words are going to be too big to fit on my project, so you can just resize each element by dragging the corners. So you select your item, you just grab the corner and resize it, and then move it to where it'll fit, so that these little trees will then fit where they go. Okay, then you bring in the next part of the file. Okay. So what you have here is you have your countdown from 25 down to 1, and then you have Merry Christmas Gnomies, a little play on word with the little gnome. Now what I did is everything that you see as a red line is going to be a cut line, and everything that is a black line is going to engrave. Well, the way I use my system is me personally, this is how this file was designed, but I typically use black as my cut line and other colors as setting, so when I set up this file to show you guys, I changed everything red to black, and then I changed black to green, which is why you saw it in the other file, because the black to me just means cut. But the person who designed this file just used different colors. It doesn't really matter what color you pick, just so that it makes sense to you as you're going through the project. So we can actually work with it just like this. You just want to make sure. So the fun part of any project when working with the lasers is figuring out your settings. So I learned that to cut cleanly, the substrate that I chose to use was 3mm MDF, and I learned that the best setting to cut through that cleanly in one pass was to do a speed of 10 and a power of 50. Sorry, CO2 is millimeters per second, and your percentage of power. So how you change your settings is you double click on the layer, and you see that this is set up for millimeters per minute, because this computer that I'm working on right now is not actually connected to the machine, so it doesn't realize that we have a CO2. If it realized that it had a CO2, it would automatically make that change over to the CO2 settings. So these numbers are going to be way off than what it would be if this computer was actually connected to our CO2 laser. So you just tab to that, change that to 10, change that to 50, and then hit OK, and that changes that layer. Same thing that you would do with the black layer. You're gonna change that to 100 and 10% power, just to do a light engraving. It doesn't take a whole lot to engrave those numbers. You just want to do a nice surface engrave without scorching on the material. So you can actually, so that's how we're going to do the engrave and then the cut. So you actually want to make sure that if you're wanting to engrave on the same piece that you want to also cut, you want to make sure that you do your engraving first, so you can change the order that it's going to do those layers. Because when you cut all the way through the material drops just a little bit. And so if you're doing a really delicate piece, you want to make sure that you do your engraving first, because when it drops, you may change the position of your wood just a little bit, and you don't want that cut line to be off when that piece moves, if that makes sense. So you do whatever you're going to engrave before you do whatever you're going to cut. So when you are satisfied with your project, You want to make sure that you have everything positioned on your workpiece. So this box here is your workpiece of what the laser is capable of. So you can take each element and move it to where it needs to be. So if you have a piece of wood that's your entire workspace, you can position everything to where it will fit on what you're engraving. Now obviously, since I want to cut out these pieces to be on top of my bulb, I can't have anything on my bulb because it will cut all the way through the board. And so you're making a layered project, you have to make sure that everything fits properly. So you have your bulb, and you want to maximize your work area so that you waste as little wood as possible. So you just have everything kind of grouped to where you use your piece of wood appropriately. So you just have everything kind of grouped together. And then once you're satisfied with everything, you're satisfied with your settings, you're satisfied with where your layers or where your piece is going to be, you want to make sure that everything fits on your piece of wood. You're going to hit this button right here. It's called frame. It's probably one of my favorite buttons for positioning your workpiece. You just hit frame, and that's going to tell the machine to basically draw a line, like Jim was saying with that red dot. It's going to draw a line where it's going to put, depending on what's selected on the screen. So like right now, you see this gnome right here is what's highlighted. So when I hit, if I were to hit frame, that would put, the laser would go around where it's going to put that gnome. If you wanted to select everything on your workpiece, you could hit Control All or Control A, and that selects everything in the workpiece that it's, so then it would frame the whole project. So you have to make sure that you have your whole project framed. Some other features of Lightburn. Let's say right now, because see this button right here where it says cut selected graphics, right here, that's turned on because and a good part of this feature is you want it to cut it where it is on the mat, because if you don't have that selected, if you have that turned off, it's going to cut wherever your start point is. So like if I had, see this is your 0 for where it thinks its starting point is. So if I put this gnome right down here, so if I had this gnome and I had it right down here, it's going to cut right there, and it doesn't matter where it's positioned on the screen. But if I turn on cut selected graphics, it will cut it exactly where I put it on the mat. And hopefully that makes, I'm explaining that right. Because without that feature turned on, it's going to cut from right down here. It doesn't matter where it's at on the screen. So that helps be more visual as far as like where it's only going to cut where I put it. The other things to note is your job origin. Make sure that the CO2s are always positioned to start in your upper back corner, whereas the diodes are typically the lower left. CO2s typically use your upper right, so it's kind of backwards, but believe it or not, you get used to it faster than you would think that you do. Some new features, just to show you a couple new features that I found with a newer version of Lightburn. If you haven't updated, one of the things that always used to bug me when I wanted to do curved text.
I don't have that.
You don't have the new version? Bummer. Okay, well I can show you. Just to see how I got this Christmas countdown is curved. If you type in test, see this little blue dot right here. If you look at the arrows, but if you see this little blue dot, you can click on it, and voila, the test curves. Pretty neat, huh? So you can automatically curve your text without having to do the thing with the circle and the putting text to path. Now, if I wanted to do a squiggly letters or something like that, you would still have to do that text to path for a complex curve. So if I wanted the curve to go up and down at the same time, you could do that. But just to get a simple curve, like to go around a circle, they built that into Lightburn, which was really cool of them. It makes it easier to do this job. So, like I said, once you have everything positioned where you want, you have your layers. Then you just go ahead and hit start to cut have the machine do the job that you planned. So like I said, everything that's red is going to be cut in this job. Everything that's black is going to be engraved. And I sincerely apologize that we were having camera difficulties, and so I can't show the machine running for you. We will add that in to this Facebook feed, post it to the video in the comment section so that you can actually see this job run. Because it really, to watch this machine in action is really kind of amazing how quick it gets that done. I do have the finished product, so I can come back and I can show you that it is done. Pieces that it cut. So I have my little bulb. I have the little bulb that it cut out with, and I don't have all the pieces glued together, but I have Christmas countdown and my little gnome. But my little gnome. So you have your little gnome dude, and in his hands he holds those little signs that we did. So the Merry Christmas Gnomies. So this finish, when you're doing a layered project like this, you do have to glue the pieces together. So sometimes these projects can be kind of labor intensive, but they're oh so worth it when they're all done, because you have the adorable finished project, and you can paint it to your heart's content. I actually sell these sell these type of projects to a local art gallery that's near me. They buy these wood kits and then they take them to their studio and they have classes where people come and paint the projects. And I've sold enough of these kits that I've paid for my laser. That's one of the side businesses that I've been able to do as a maker with the YoraHome community. It's one thing that's great about this project, that yes, I work for YoraHome, but I was a customer before I became an employee. So I started out in the maker community just like you. I bought a YoraHome machine, and I've used that machine to build a small business for myself. And that's what we hope that each and every one of you are able to do with your machines. Whether it's a hobby starting out, or you build a business with it. That is the whole point of Creators Night, is showcasing some of our makers that have become ambassadors for our company. So I'm going to ask you, YoraHome community, what do you want to learn? Because as we start the new year, I want to help you guys be the best that you can be. So I want to ask you, what do you want to learn? What would you like our ambassadors to teach you? We've gotten several new machines recently. We have lots of ambassadors that have different skill sets. So please, in the comments, tell us, what do you want to learn? What skills would you like us to be able to teach you, so that I can set up future Creators Nights or video tutorials, or whatever the case may be, with lessons that you want. So please respond to the comments. In the comments, tell us what kind of projects you guys are interested in, so that we can help you be the best that you can be. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. Hopefully you like the new 6040, and we can't wait to see you future. Happy holidays, whether that's Christmas or whatever you guys celebrate. Happy New Year, and thanks for joining us. Have a good night.